Barbarians Season 2 Ending Explained. Set 1 year on from the Varus battle that occurred in Season 1, it was clear to see that tensions were still there amongst the Germanic tribe and the Romans. So much so that deals were being made on both sides in order to keep peace, but troubles still kept occurring. It was an interesting season to say the least, and with only 6 episodes it was extremely digestible. So with that, I thought I'd recap, break down, and explain all that there was to take away from Season 2 of the show. So let's get into it. Here is Barbarians Season 2 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Set in the year 10 AD, we saw that despite the Battle of Varus occurring in Season 1, the Romans were still hungry to wipe the tribes off of the land and claim it for themselves. The entirety of the plot for the arc of the first season came following Ari, Thusnelda, and a group in their tribe when they ambushed some Romans and saw that they had material for tents to house several soldiers, showing that the Romans were strengthening with the eventual aim to take out the tribes. So this is what led to the whole season kicking off. I'm going to break this video down by the main character arcs in the show as to how they all finished. Ari. Ari was a character that we had the main focus on throughout the show. He believed that peace would never be possible between his tribe and the Romans, which is why he wanted to form an alliance with Marbod, in order for there to be safety in numbers, and with Marbod's 70,000 men that he had available, it was the best option for him and his tribe, in order to have the upper hand on the Romans. However, we saw Ari go through several battles in this season. A battle with Marbod following the realization that he was working alongside the Romans, and also a battle with his brother who was part of the Roman forces, Flavus. We saw that Ari was able to fend them both off on several occasions, and in the final battle he managed to reign victorious. We saw him reunited with his son that Thusnelda was not aware of, Gaius, coming back into his life, and it caused conflict within his relationship. I was slightly surprised that Ari welcomed him back for a second time after he essentially orchestrated the mass slaughtering of his tribe whilst they were at the thing. But the idea of family and alliances in this season was present, so that could be why. I don't feel Ari's character went on a particularly interesting journey this season, or felt as though he was that different to when it began. In the closing moments, we saw that his final main involvement was in the finding out that the child he believed to be his, Germanicus, was not in fact his. When Folkwin told him as he was dying that he needed to love him like it were his own son. So I'm intrigued to see how that's going to impact him in the next season. We know that lies were something that caused conflict between himself and Thusnelda in this season, so maybe that may carry over if they're ever reunited. Thusnelda. Thusnelda is one of my favourite characters in the show. I feel as though she's the most level-headed individual in the show, and she thinks with her head as well as her heart. She was a formidable warrior in the final battle, and all throughout the show in fact, and the love for her child was something that was extremely apparent and at the core of her arc. So much so that it carried through right up until the closing moments of the season. As much as she loved Ari, I feel as though her feelings for Folkwin were stronger, but they just had to be suppressed slightly. We saw this when the both of them were off on their own together, and he asked her if she truly loved Ari, and there was a long pause of silence. We found out in this season that Folkwin was Themelica's true father, and it wasn't Ari, which I thought was an interesting twist to find out, and it did ultimately change the direction of Folkwin's journey in the show. In the final moments of the season, we saw Thusnelda going to find her child after realizing that he'd been taken, and once she was there, we saw that Tiberius had a hold of him. This was because her father, who she was prepared to leave in exile whilst providing shelter to her brother and mother, betrayed the tribe by informing the Romans of their plans, and in turn took Germanicus to Tiberius. We saw that her father and mother were killed, and whilst Germanicus was now being taken to Rome, we also saw that Thusnelda had also been taken and will be going to Rome as well. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out in Season 3, as nobody will have any idea that this has even happened. It seems as though history may be repeating itself like what happened with Flavus and Ari, in the sense that they grew up in Rome despite not being true-blooded Romans. But for now, Thusnelda is heading to Rome and will be in a foreign land where she or anybody from the tribe would be far outnumbered. In the history books following Thusnelda's taking, it's unknown what really happened to her, so we may see her arc gone completely, but I'd be surprised if the show decided to do that. Folkwin. Like Thusnelda, Folkwin was a character that I really did enjoy watching this season. He seemed the most human out of them all, and I think that was because of the journey that he went on and the growth that it held. He expressed care and compassion for Dido and also for Thusnelda. Whilst even being against Ari, he stood by him and fought for him when necessary. The main thing that changed Folkwin's direction was him finding out that Thusnelda was his firstborn child. He made a promise to the gods in Season 1 that if he survived the Battle of Varus along with the safety of the people that he loved, he would sacrifice his firstborn child for that protection. We saw that this revelation was something that threw him off track, and instead he renounced his son and instead offered the gods himself, which was something that we saw come true in the final part of the season, where he died doing something for somebody else, Dido, trying to hunt and find Germanicus so he'd be able to seek revenge on him for him murdering Dido's father, showing that he was a selfless individual. He fought for others, not for himself, and it was clear to see. It was sad when he was killed, as he was a character that I feel brought a lot of humanity to the show, and his caring, compassionate nature was quite refreshing to see on screen. Marbod. Marbod was a character that I didn't like at the start of the season, and by the end of it, well, I still didn't like him that much, but he made the right choices at the end. I feel it was only because his inferiority was made clear. He wasn't as strong as Ari, but due to Ari bending the knee to him and the slaughtering of the tribe by the Romans at the thing, he realized that peace was never a viable option, despite siding with the Romans on many occasions in the past. His love for Flavus was something that was apparent in this season, and the confliction between who he truly loved out of his wife and him was something that we never really got to see. However, one main thing for the character was that he did what he did because he wanted to avoid war. And the very war that he wanted to avoid was something that cost him the lives of the two people that he loved dearest in this world, with his wife being killed and his love of Flavus also being killed too. I think next season we'll see Ari sworn in as king, as the people will most likely view him as a stronger leader, and as well I think Marbod will also think the same due to how the entirety of the battle was set up in the final episode and the success of it. Tiberius and Germanicus. At the end of the season, we saw that Tiberius fled the battle which was occurring, showing that he was prepared for his men to be slaughtered on the battlefield and not die alongside them. However, we saw that Germanicus, despite appearing weak throughout the entirety of the show, was prepared to fight alongside his men, showing the strength that he held. In the final moments of the episode, we saw that he killed Thusnelda's mother and father following the deal that was made to provide him with Thusnelda, due to the fact that he didn't want to side with traitors. And then he also ordered for the taking of Thusnelda down to Rome with himself. Germanicus got a lucky escape in not being killed by Dido when she'd been wanting to seek revenge on him for killing her father many years ago, so I'm hoping we'll see some more of this as the next season progresses. I thought this season was pretty good. The battles are always epic to watch, from the very first one in episode 1 right up until the all-out war in the closing moments of the episode. Visually they're great to see, and you really feel like you're there amongst the brutality and gore of it on screen. The actors did a great job at delivering the characters, and I felt heavily invested in all of their arcs. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen in Season 3, considering it finished with the poignant taking of Thusnelda. We'll just have to wait and see. So, there you have it. Barbarians Season 2 Ending Explained. If you want to see more videos such as Endings Explained, theories and predictions and character breakdowns, then click on the I button. Or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find them all. If you'd like to give me a show or movie that you'd like me to review, then head over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what show or movie you'd like me to review next. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of Season 2? Leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.